Welcome back to the Womenomics podcast. Think of this time as soul care with your hosts, Tiara and Corinne. Wow, look at us, episode 9, ripping and running. Love to see
Episode
it.
9. We almost finished with season 3.
That
Craziness.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's because we are veteran podcasters at this point. At first, I felt like an imposter. Now I'm a vet.
Yes. Listen, because we be podding like that. Have you ever heard that term before? Like podding, like
Nope,
we be
you're the only
podding?
person I ever heard say that. Did you make it up?
No. I used to listen to the Joe Budden podcast, and whenever they like get in a bag, like they really, giving some really juicy information, or they really like debating or something, they be like, "We podded today, we podded today." That be they in they back.
I thought you made that up.
You know? I love that. I think that is like literally so hilarious. But it do like when you get in like that little groove or whatever, you're like, hold up. Like sometimes honestly, when you create, and this is for anybody who has ever wanted to do a podcast, we have had people who has been on our show, has listened to our show, who's then sat out and done their own podcast. Please understand that whatever you say, it is valuable. A lot of the times we feel like imposters because we don't think what we have to say is important, is impactful, and it's not even about the influence. Like now I think when we think about like influencers, it's just like it's turned into something totally different. So
Yeah,
replace influence with impact.
I agree. I thought I would have some level of expertise, certain level of status to be for my words to be appreciated. And now I realize like it's just no exact same type of personality. Everyone is individual with their unique perspectives about the world around them. So not everyone is going to agree with me. Not everyone may like me, but I have something that someone can gain something from.
Yes.
So, and I don't have to be an expert. And I could come back season 4 and say, I disagree with what I was talking about in season 3. It's
Right.
all about the evolution for me.
Okay, period.
Hmm.
And speaking of evolution, I love this topic because I feel like it is something that I have been struggling with since I embarked on this entrepreneurial journey.
Mm.
Hustle, right? Can you grow the hustle gene? Can you evolve into a hustler?
Now, what is a hustler?
Okay, so peep. Since I've decided, hey, forget working for somebody else, I'm going to build my own dream. I've been looking at how other people build their dreams, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're going to learn from people who've actually done it, right? And one thing that I have noticed that a lot of people have said is that they've always been hustlers. They have that hustle gene, they have that hustle mentality, meaning they're going to make a way out of no way. Where there is nothing, something will be created. Now, we look at that in terms of like, okay, there's nothing there with this business. And now we're going to create this business, make products, make services, and exchange them for money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's basically what the hustle is. You're
Mm.
going to create a product, a service, a solution, and then you're going to market it to the people who need it in exchange for money.
And I'll add to that because I think if a person had if a person is known to be a hustler, I don't think they just do that. I think they consistently do that
Mm,
over and over again. So they just don't say key in on one thing and say this is what I'm going to do. They stay innovative and they constantly
mm,
create and they constantly find opportunities in things that maybe the average person doesn't see. In the society we're in, most of us have jobs and we do our jobs, our particular tasks and duties, and that's it. A hustler is constantly finding different ways to create, innovate, and generate money.
yep.
And so I think it's just two different types of entrepreneurs too. Some are hustlers and some are not, in my opinion.
See, but I think the other component about hustling that I feel like even I overlook or do not maximize, and that's maybe why I don't consider myself a hustler, or I feel like my hustle muscle needs to grow,
Mhm.
is because it's the urgency for me. Like one thing about hustlers, for some reason, it always seems like there's urgency associated with whatever it is that they're doing, whether they are, putting together, this event, and they're just like getting all the, like, they're getting all of the pieces that they need in order to put together something successful. But you already know that takes hustle, that takes urgency, that takes you, making decisions quickly, whether it is, what exactly you want, or maybe it's an adaptation of what you want. You got to make it work for right now. You know what I'm saying? And what you
Mm-hmm.
got, but it's something about that level of urgency that I feel like is attached to that hustle title, that hustle mentality. It's almost like it has to be, because okay, so here's how I'm thinking about it, and we crack up about this all the time, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have those business owners that are making cold calls, that are sending out mailers, who is going to every networking event, who is pushing themselves and their business out there and trying to be seen as much as they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other business owners who is waiting for the phone to ring, okay, posting, maybe here and there, but don't really have a plan, don't have anything that they're executing on a day to day, just, kind of hoping that things find them, casually mentioning their business, maybe, posting once or twice, but again, you're almost like waiting for the business to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like when you are in your peak, you know what I'm saying? Like hustle mode, you are making opportunities. You're creating opportunities because you're going outside of your comfort zone, your bubble, and where your business lies, and pushing it out and stretching it, and like moving its reach out further.
Mm. Well said. I agree. I agree that that's what it is, because I know that's what I'm not.
you know, and I ain't even mad because I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I don't do none of that. I mean, I feel like I give myself grace because I was not born. I didn't come into this world wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to own a business. I just did it. I've said as many times. I had a good job. I want stability. I like consistency and predictability. I have a degree, whatever. So that has been my life. And everything changed in the last few years since COVID, and I found myself into the entrepreneurial space. I fell in love with it. And now business ownership is my future outlook. And that's just how I see it. I don't want to go back to a job unless it's the right thing, right time and place, if God sees it so. So for me, I didn't know that it took a different type of perspective and intention around business ownership, because money isn't consistent like a biweekly paycheck. And in order to get consistent money, there is some hustle involved, because you have to keep activating the marketplace to get people to come to you, to pay you, so that you can get your value to them. And there are ebbs and flows in the market that we don't see in a job, because we have leaders and departments that handle all of that. We just work in our particular task. And so now I'm direct, as a business owner, I'm directly affected by those ebbs and flows of the market. And so it's important to have other streams of income to consistently bring money into your business. So that requires a level of hustle. So that urgency that maybe you and I, Tiara, don't want to have, that type of pressure, I think it is vital to our business to constantly be trying to stay ahead of the game. So even when business is going well for us, we should always be thinking of the next move. And it doesn't have to be a negative feeling behind it, but it's just a part of doing business. Even if, you are busy during a particular season, you should still be intentional about marketing. You should still be seeking opportunity. You should still, network and let the world know what you do. And I haven't been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been doing that because I mean, I'm embarrassed to admit that though, but it's true. I haven't consistently been doing it. I have been doing well. I pay for marketing, advertising, and stuff like that. But I am not out there letting the world know from the mountaintops that here I am. This is what I do, and I'm constantly looking and seeking collaborations. I don't do that actively because I have multiple services that I offer, and I felt good with that. But it does make me think, like, as the season changes and the market changes, I'm gonna be like looking crazy. So it's important to constantly be evolving, because that's what your competitors are doing as well. So I don't think I have hustle like movements at this current time, but I think they're important.
It's funny because I've always been attracted to the hustle, right? Again, not someone who's actually partaken in it. I lived a very, comfortable, I guess you would consider like middle class life. I went and I got my degrees. There wasn't no hustle associated with that. I had to wait my 4 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've just grown up in a life that has made, like you said, giving grace and being patient um so like standard that I just feel like that urgency I agree I also just do not have like I and it's like I said I've always been attracted to the hustle. When I see people hustling, I love it. I'm bigging you up, I'm sharing your stuff, I'm in your DMs telling you I see you, like, you know what I'm saying, like I see it, I can recognize it, I can see it, and I have appreciation towards it. But when it comes to me me actually like tapping into that version of myself, here's my struggle. I'll say I'll be we being transparent, right? You think
Right.
y'all can't see us, we being transparent.
Right.
Here is my struggle. My struggle is, one, I ain't gonna hold you, I fear rejection in like the weirdest way, because I also recognize that like a rejection is not a denial. You know what I'm saying? It's just a redirection.
Mm-hmm.
So I conceptualize that in a very healthy way. So when I actually do experience rejection, it does not bother me that much. But I think if I would experience it in like a 10x manner, which is kind of like, I ain't gonna say that's what you have to do the hustle, but I do feel like that is the peak of like
Mm-hmm.
hustle mentality, is like to 10x everything that you do for your business, around your business. And if you have not read the 10x rule, definitely go and read it by, what was it, Grant Cardone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, by Grant Cardone, where he's talking about 10xing all of your activities so that you can 10x your results. So basically, you can accomplish your 10x goals. That's, if I could sum it up, that's how to sum it up. And when I think about hustle mentality, I automatically jump to 10xing, and something about that makes me like fearful. I don't know if it's fearful that like I'm not gonna have the energy to keep it up. I don't know if it's fearful of like I'm gonna get more, no's than yeses, and that might like change how I feel about whatever it is that I'm doing. Um, but I want to be a hustler. Like I've never had to be a hustler. So I just felt like that gene, that muscle is inactive. But now I threw myself out the window, right? I'm out here, I'm building my business in the air with, direction, but still, it's still me doing it. I don't have any physical experience of building a business before. This is all still very new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to grow my hustle gene now more than ever.
So what does a hustler look like to you? If you were a hustler today, since that's something that you admire, what does the day in the life of Tiara the hustler look like?
That's right. Help me envision my future self. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. What that look like? What that look like? So for me, I'm gonna think about it on a weekly basis, maybe not even a daily basis, because there's no way I'm going to do all of these things daily. But if I can attribute one day a week to each of the things that I want to do, then I feel like that'll get me into that, space, that hustler mentality space. So for one, I need to be promoting my business every single day on whatever social media platforms I'm on.
Mm.
So I, even in the space of not overwhelming myself, I don't feel like a hustler has to be like 100 million places at one time, but you definitely want to work smarter and not harder. And we are in a position in, just this world right now with technology, with TikTok, with Google, with Pinterest, Yelp, Instagram, just a way to spread and share information. And we also have businesses that are not subjected to our state, our city, and like our locality. Like if you don't have to be in New Brunswick to experience my services.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with you, Corinne. You're in Maryland, but you can help someone with their apostle in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
So we don't have that limitation of, this is mom and pop brick and mortar. You can only come here and I can only provide the service here.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, me looking in my, hustle self, I'm always putting my business out there on these free and easy accessible and entertaining platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one. That's something simple, low key, low maintenance. I need to be doing from my house every single day that I'm not doing. So if you're listening to this, that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, growing my network. We already know, and we say this all the time, and we hear our coaches say it, and these gurus say, like, we hear this all the time. Your net worth is your net work. You need to be out there building relationships. Like, relationship building is what truly builds businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, as a wedding officiant, like, I have a million vendors and vendor types that I can be reaching out to, that I can build healthy business relationships with. It's not just, okay, well, if I am a, whatever, dog groomer, then I need to only talk to people with pets and need to only talk to people who own like dog stores or vets or something like that. Like, it's a little bit more limited. Whereas in the wedding industry world, it's like I could talk to stationers, designers, planners, DJs, caterers, bakers, the list goes on and on and on. And this is an infinite amount of people that I can like reach out to and build relationship with, build network relationships with, build referral partnerships with, build collaborative ideas with, or events with. Like the possibilities are truly endless just from a person to person connection,
Mm-hmm.
and all the reach that I can get from there. So if I was operating in my top hustle mentality, then I'm reaching out to 5 vendors a week,
Mm-hmm.
just introducing myself to them, building a relationship with them, seeing what type of couples they work with, maybe what venues, maybe they've worked at venues I've never worked in. You know what I mean? Just getting around people who are doing the things that I want to do, who are serving the couples that I want to serve, and making relationships with them so that they know, hey, Tiara's pretty cool. She does a good job. She knows what she's talking about. I have this couple that has yet to get their officiant, and their wedding is 3 months away. Let me, you know, give
Right.
her information, you know?
Yeah.
Let me word
So,
of mouth her in there.
so here's a challenge that I see with that. Um, the if you're going from, I'm not going to say 0 to 100, but if you are
Mm-hmm.
at a certain level, which is non-hustling level, and you decide to on these type of activities, the assumption is they're not short-term things. This is just a new way of operating so that you
Mm-hmm.
can achieve the things you're looking to achieve. The problem, the challenge I think with that is, do you run out of steam? Do you lose energy? Is it going to be inconsistent? And I think the solution to that is first identifying the type of person you have to become in order to make that a way of life for your business.
Right.
And sometimes I'll try to do those activities without being that person, without being that hustler, and it's so short lived. So when I
Mm.
think about what it takes, that means that I have to really believe in what I'm doing. Like, what's the vision here? Is it just to accomplish a particular short term goal? Or am I trying to become the premier Maryland Apostle Service business here, or am I trying to eventually evolve to this level, whatever that may be? I think we have to establish what exactly it is that we want our business to become. And when we know that, then it may become a lot easier to reach out to those vendors consistently, to market consistently, because you have this vision of what your wedding officiant business is going to look like. In order to get there, these activities are required. Not necessarily, I want to just constantly feel like I am making progress, because there are
Mm-hmm.
days when you're going to lose steam or the novelty wears off and you're going to kind of settle back into what has been for so long. And I think about, for me, I was a hustler at work when I had a job, not like selling, off-brand purses out of that. I wasn't doing that like hustle man, but I was doing it for the actual job. Like, I was one of the most hardworking people in my office. I would take my laptop home. I would work in the evenings. I would anticipate things that my team needed. I was always, I really, really cared and believed in the work. So when I started my own business, I kind of abandoned that. And I realized, so when you hear when you hear people say, why don't you do it for yourself? You'll do it for your job all day. Why won't you do it for yourself? And I think it stings when I hear that, because it makes me think, okay, do I not feel like I'm worth it? Perhaps. But I also think it's a conditioning that I had to, you get your notch in your belt, you get your A+, you get your reward, your raise, if you continue to do a good job as the employee. And so now that I'm no longer the employee, I'm the boss, I'm all these other things, I can kind of sometimes be a little complacent. But that complacency doesn't get you achievement, doesn't get you the money that you want, it doesn't take you to the level you're trying to get to. So when I kind of examine that, I realize it's in me to hustle, it's in me to seek knowledge, it's in me to seek new opportunities and collaborations. I just have to see the vision for my business like I saw for the company I worked for. And that's the shift I think that maybe some of us may not have, because there's no one over us telling us what to do. There's no standard operating procedures that we have to abide by. We can decide today we're going to have 10x activity, tomorrow we can take time off, and then we never quite get there. And then we marvel at people who are constantly having this energy, constantly putting themselves out there, constantly. And you're like, how are they doing it? Maybe it's because what they see in their business, they believe in it, and they've already established that. So all the activity literally just rolls up into the vision that they have. And our vision may be fleeting. Sometimes it's a matter of we're just trying to make enough to care for our households, and we're just kind of going along without true organization. And other times it's a thing where we, after a lot of ups and downs as new entrepreneurs, you kind of become groomed, and you kind of learn. I didn't have this perspective 2 years ago. And so now I realize, like last episode we talked about wellness and health and stuff. I understand how vital that is in order for me to keep a 10x type of activity. I understand, like, mindset and self-care is incredibly important in order to keep going when you're tired. Not just running around looking busy to exhaustion, but having a clear vision of where you see your business and where you deserve to go. And then I think the motivation will come from deeper within. Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense. And I love that. And I love how you're talking about, just having that super clear vision, just having a super clear vision about what it is that, you want your business to look like. And it's funny because what you said is honestly the opposite of how I operated at work. Like, so you say you were like super hard working, you would go, kind of above and beyond what was required of you. So instinctively that you have that hustle mentality because you've done it before. It just wasn't in the form of, providing for your own business.
And
Whereas,
I think it wasn't worth it. Like, I feel like
yeah,
hustling like that on a job, you're not about to, you know, bust out the ceiling. You're not.
right.
I just wanted to do a good job. I was trained to do so. I was a good student in school. I'm a good employee too, and someone who did half my work was still getting paid the same and had peace of mind at home. So I just needed to transfer that energy into my own business, and only God knows where I'd be if I put that level of effort in. So it's just a realization that I've had, because I feel sometimes like the lazy employee now, ironically.
But you know what is really, and it's hilarious because, so I'll put it like this. I definitely was not the lazy employee, but I'm not going above and beyond because it didn't matter.
Right,
It
right.
didn't matter to my bosses. It didn't matter to my pay. It didn't matter to, anyone around me. It didn't matter to the people that I was serving at the time. And I worked in healthcare. So I feel like even coming from healthcare, it's like you don't get the weekends off, you don't get the holidays off. You're, nurturing people or helping people at, sometimes what is the lowest point in their life. And so you just kind of receive, I ain't gonna call it abuse, but like you're not receiving any type of gratitude for the work
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that you're doing. You're getting paid, but you're not getting paid enough. Your bosses are telling you that you're doing something. They want you to do more, but they don't want to compensate you for doing more. Like, you're like, girl, I'm not doing that. Like listen, that is a slogan for me at work. Any of my former coworkers will tell you, I'm not doing anything that is outside of my job range. Whatever's my job description. I'm not doing anything that's outside of my work hours. I'm not doing anything at home. Like, I'm not doing none of that because y'all not paying nobody for that.
She was real different
I
from you.
think that was my problem. Yeah. But that was my problem because I've grown that muscle. And like again, I still wouldn't necessarily label it the lazy employee muscle because I still was good. I always had really like top reviews. Like if you used to have to do your
Performance.
remember you said that yes, your own self evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
baby, the highest. Because I'm
Of
doing everything in
course.
my job description. I just ain't doing nothing outside of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because y'all not doing nothing for nobody who's doing stuff outside of that. You saying thank you. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? My back broke, but you're barely, sometimes you don't even get a thank you, right? But that's what I'm saying. I remember one time when I was working at the hospital and their full time tech, I was a part time tech. So I think I only had to do what, maybe like 32 hours every 2 weeks, something like that, very minimal. And their full time tech was out, so they were always short staffed. And so I took on the full tech role. I was working as a full tech, all the hours of the full tech, and my hours as a part time tech. And I remember I called out one weekend and they told me how to make my weekend up. Girl, what? I
Oh,
just worked the last 2 months, Monday through Friday, and my weekends and the other girl weekend. And you think I'm about to come and make up this weekend?
that's
And this is why y'all got me karate chopped. And I didn't have to make up that weekend. I didn't have to do it. But also, don't make me take away all the other additional help that I was giving you guys for this little one day. Like, you know what I mean?
mm,
So for me, I feel like jobs have almost put me in like kind of like an ego space because it's like it don't matter if you go above and beyond. At least the jobs I work, some situations, you go above and beyond and you do get rewarded. So if that is you, I'm happy for you. That just was not that was not anything that I've experienced. And I think because of that, it got me to the place of doing exactly what I feel like I need to do. But in your job, there is a bare minimum. In self-employment, there ain't no bare minimum. It's just you ain't doing nothing. Like you
it's
off
either bare
today,
broke. It's a bare
yeah,
broke.
you taking a vacation today. Like what's going on? What is happening? So for me, it's like I've always wanted, or at least let me put it like this. I've always wanted to be in a job where if I go above and beyond, I would get rewarded. Now I'm in a job, my
Mm,
own. I'm in a job that if I go above and beyond, then I will get rewarded. And it made me think about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you do not have that book, uh, it will bless you in any season of your life.
mm-hmm.
It don't matter. You can be in the best, most optimal version of yourself, and this book will still make you better.
Mm.
So that's one period. But I just wanted to throw in one thing that he has said and that I spoke to Stan Rafael and he was explaining to me that he's actually adapting this too and he's starting to see success. So let's see what the gem is right here.
Mm.
It says, what is the difference between systems and goals? Forget about goals and focus on systems instead. The distinction is that goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those goals. Hmm.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that look like? Everybody has goals, right? Winners have goals, losers have goals. Everybody literally have goals. When you start out something, your goal ain't to lose, right? Your
Right.
goal is to win. Your goal is to achieve. Your goal is to accomplish. But we sometimes still don't achieve, win, or accomplish. So how can we get out of that kind of like rut of not achieving our goals when our focus really needs to shift to our systems? What are we doing? The goal will always be there, but what has to change is that system of continuous small improvements that will achieve a different outcome.
Oh, that's deep. I like that.
He went off on his book.
Mm. I like that because sometimes we think the goals is all we need.
Yep.
But when you say that a loser can have the same goals, then
Mm-hmm.
what's the differentiating factor? It has to be the systems that you put in place.
Right.
And that is something that's, I mean, when you hear it, it makes sense, but it is clearly not an obvious thing, because we all just set goals and sometimes we hit them, sometimes we miss them. But with the proper systems, you will move yourself through the process to get there.
Right.
Mm.
That's a fact. And just for a little real world application, again, I was talking to Stamp about this, and he was sharing that he switched to having, instead of focusing on monetary goals, like, okay, I want to make, I want to do this many appointments this month, I want to have this much in revenue and things of that nature. He shifted to focusing on activities, or what is, in terms of the book, his system. What are the things that he's doing every day? Those small little, 1% things that we don't even know makes a difference. Posting on your story every single day, if you get no interaction, do you feel like it make a difference?
You asking me, or you asked him that?
Yeah. No, I'm asking you that.
If I post on my story every day, and if it doesn't have any interaction, it doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Do
I
you
think
feel
it.
like that?
I feel like it makes a difference because I'm consistently doing the work, and I think it compounds over time. I feel like it matters. Every time you do something, you're not going to get feedback. You're not going to get, it's like throwing out, putting out a certain level of information to the marketplace, or like Google advertisements or something. For every dollar you spend in advertising, you're not going to get a dollar back.
Right.
You may get $10 back here, 100 times that somewhere else, and then sometimes none. It's the consistency though that makes the difference. So if you look at it as, I'm not getting any likes, so I'm not getting any feedback, and you're looking for that immediate return, then you're not willing to run the marathon, because I think it's the benefit over time is what you're seeking to achieve. And then the habit of being consistently putting in that work will always
Mm-hmm.
serve you well. And based on, looking at the outcomes from your activity, it's important to tweak it, to change it, to pivot, to do different things that work. But it's all about the consistent output.
I love that. And you basically summed up where I was getting at, which is just that compounding activity. Like the same way we think about, money that multiplies through compounded interest, we got to think about our activities, and how when we are doing things one on top of another, like that compounds as well. Not only are we improving ourselves, like you said, our consistency, but we're also continuously, like you said, showing that we trust, and really prove that we trust in our vision, because we are constantly putting out, information about it, whether we feel like it is hitting all the people that we wanted to, whether it is quote unquote reaching our engagement goals. The whole point is that we're compounding our self improvement by doing something very seemingly small, right? Like posting on your story every single day. But look what posting on your story every single day has brought you, based on all the things you just told me it does.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that's very small. That's very minuscule. That's a small margin, child,
Margin.
margin.
There you
There
go.
you go.
You got this.
A small margin that we can improve, that's going to make an impact, maybe a month, 2 months from now. So while people may not be engaging within the first month, they may be looking at your story every day. Maybe towards the second month, because you're consistently posting, now they're going to start engaging because they're starting to see it all the time.
Mm,
Maybe you're providing them information that they did not know before. And so, they're sharing it to other people. Like, you really don't know what your small activities are going to bring. And that's why the focus should really be on the small activities, and not what the end goal, like, what do we want the end goal to be?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's true. And
So,
you're not seeing, the same people are not going to see you every day. You're going to encounter different people. So that's why it's important that you constantly are consistently out there, and like we always say, you see McDonald's out there, you see Nike out there, and every child, every adult, every old person know McDonald's, but they still keep you top of mind. I mean, they still want you to keep them top of mind. And so that's why the activity still remains at top level as it is.
no, absolutely.
Hustler. That's the hustler.
That is the hustling for real. And really, the point of this episode is to really just help someone really break in and start actively using that hustle muscle. And the way that you can do that is look for small marginal improvements that you can make towards your business every single day. Whatever you feel like you can be doing a little bit better, find a way to do a little bit better of that every single day. You'll be surprised where the results will get you 30, 60, 90 days from now.
And I think that that is so important, but you also must have your reason for doing it, not
Yeah.
just to feel good that you can check off the checkbox saying I can accomplish this today, but where do you see your business? Who do you want to become? Where do you want your business to become in a certain amount of time? Or what is your vision overall for the service you want to provide? And then that should be enough justification for whatever activities you choose per day to get you there.
Yes. And I'm also going to reiterate that, and it might be a little challenge to what you said too, but just reiterate that, like, maybe sometimes you just need to check the check boxes off.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
sometimes you do need to do that without knowing that, your vision, is going to be fulfilled or anything like that. Like sometimes like one thing that I learned from this book, because this will be my second time reading it, but one thing that stuck with me the first time around is you have to sometimes you do things. Oh, how did he pronounce? He said it like sometimes you do things for a different reason, but then pride kicks in after you have consistency,
Mm,
and that will help you continue to do those things or even do better things, but mainly to continue to do those things. Like now you're taking pride in the fact that you've been consistent. Now you're taking pride in the fact that you're showing up for yourself again in this small marginal way of just posting one thing on your story every day, but you're still taking pride of going. And that example really came from I think it was like someone that like went to the gym for like 5 minutes every day for however period of time. He wasn't someone who worked out a lot or anything like that, but it was something about just at least going to the gym, even if it was only for 5 minutes.
mm-hmm.
Going to the gym every single day built up a level of pride in him that even on the days that he didn't go to the gym, it affected him in a different way.
I get
Even if
it.
it was on 5 minutes.
I get
We
that.
don't we don't think 5 minutes is nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like we're like, who go to the gym for 5 minutes? You basically walked in there, scanned your thing, tied your shoe, and walked out. Like,
Mhm.
you ain't do nothing.
That is so true because you want to stay on the wagon. You don't want to, just like it's difficult to get off the couch and change and become active. It's just you, I could see myself feeling like, damn, I don't want to be inactive because I like this winning streak. I like to constantly feel energized to get things done. That feeling can be addictive too.
Yep.
So that, I mean, and then like you said, it can evolve into understanding your purpose and your why because now you have this fresher perspective because you have that activity under your belt, which is positive.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love that. This was so good. It's just I always been thinking about that, and I have so many like little, what do you call that? Like notebooks and stationary items with like the word hustle in it, and I'm like, one day I'm a fully embody this hustle word. So this is helping me really understand kind of what that looks like for me, what that means. So if you are a hustler and you got some tips for other baby hustlers, throw some tips in the comments. If you
Yes,
are a baby hustler, share what your hustle goals are, what that looks like for you, and encourage someone, or a matter of fact, encourage someone to be a hustler today and shout out someone who is being a hustler today. Acknowledge those hustlers too, because they need it.
I love that.
Sometimes they don't feel like it's going nowhere, but baby, it is. We see you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much. Of
Yeah.
course, we love when you guys check in for Womenomics Wednesday. Corinne, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for just sharing. And you actually gave me so much new perspective, too.
Good, of course, because I'm not a hustler, and but you know what? Let me say this. I'm not going to say I'm not one. I've learned so much in the beginning what I lacked in terms of activity and innovation, because I didn't know that it was required of me as a business owner, because I didn't know anything about business ownership. And here I am, by observing, my mentor, networking with so many people, I'm learning what it takes. And so I think the transformation for me is happening on the inside, which also includes conversations like this to allow myself to have introspection and stuff like that. So I'm going to stop saying what I'm not. I will say that I am becoming. That's all I got.
I'm joining you. I am growing my hustle muscle. We are getting active in this hustle mentality. It's just, it has to happen. We
Yep.
want successful businesses, then we gotta hustle to get them.
Yep.
And I know people have their negative connotation, with like hustle. Oh, you don't have to hustle all the time. We don't have to live in this hustle culture. You need some type of hustle to have a successful business, and that's on period. I don't care what nobody tell you.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
it. So don't hustle till you burn out. Definitely have some balance. That's why we talk about wellness and all of these other things. But you need the hustle to get where you want to go.
That is very true, because nobody else going to do it for you.
At all. All right, y'all. We will see you next week on Womenomics Wednesday. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, especially this episode. I know this is going to bless someone. It definitely blessed me. But make sure you guys get out there, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.